Are you ready for some football? Can you believe it? It is that time of the year again. That's right. Time to get your fantasy football team in order. And that's why we have our friends, of course, from fantasyfootballstarters.com joining us again. Jeff Cricini and Russ Bliss. Thanks, guys, for being here.
Yeah.
And welcome back to another season.
Yeah, this is our 4th season, Tess. So
weren't we just talking about it like it feels like last month of what to look out for as we head into the Super Bowl or something, right?
You got it. Absolutely. And now we're back.
All right, let's start off with the first, I guess, main tips that you want to give folks as they start to plan their fantasy football roster here.
Absolutely, Tess. Right now, between now and the start of the season, about 20 million people are going to be playing fantasy football.
Wow.
And one of the things we hear is, what are the best tips for drafting your team? And so we're going to list a couple of those. And the first one is you've always got to understand the rules and the scoring system of your league. Because fantasy football is it's really kind of like poker. You know, there's many different variations. Well, scoring systems they vary in fantasy football. So how players score points, points per reception, touchdowns, and things like that. That's a real important tip. You've got to know those rules. The next one is you want to create cheat sheets by position, kind of like tier rankings, what we call them. And that gives you the ability to look at players that have similar values. So when you're looking at quarterbacks and you're going through the draft, hey, these 3 particular quarterbacks have the same value. So if one of your players gets drafted before you select them, you can pick somebody else that has of significant value. Okay. That's another tip.
That's what a cheat sheet is called.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
That's right. But there's a couple of other things you definitely want to do, right, Russ?
Yeah, who do you want to take early, Russ?
Early on, you always want to stock up on running backs and wide receivers. Unless you want one of the top 3 quarterbacks, because they're going by the end of round 2, you want to make sure that you get your wide receivers and your running backs early. And then, of course, tight ends, kickers, and defenses, wait until the later parts of your draft to get those positions, because there's always going to be value. Some people will go out and grab them early. Go ahead and wait a bit on getting those positions.
Yeah, and then you got to pay attention to bye weeks. We've talked about this before, where you can end up drafting like 3 or 4 players that have the same bye week. So then when you have a matchup that week, you're kind of short some of your starters.
You're going to get no points at that point.
And in particularly, it really matters when you're talking about defenses and kickers and things like that, because if you can also avoid drafting some of those until, like Russ said, later rounds, you only want to draft 1 at each position.
Okay, we often hear who to draft. What about the guys that are the sleepers that you want to look out for?
Well, first at quarterback, the first guy you want to look out for is Donovan McNabb. He's usually about the 13th quarterback off the board. Yeah. And for a guy that's probably going to catch or throw for about 4,000 yards, pretty close to it, and 23 total touchdowns, that's great value right there. That's a potential great sleeper at the quarterback position.
Yeah, and then you got Johnny Knox is somebody that we've got our eye on, wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. He was like, what, Russ, a 5th-round draft pick last year. Mike Martz's offense, he runs good routes. We're predicting him to probably have about 800 yards and 7 touchdowns. So this is another guy in those later rounds that could be a real good sleeper along with Jay Cutler, a quarterback.
Yeah, and he could easily surpass that 807, but at running back, Arian Foster for the Houston Texans. Yeah. Arian Foster is in a great opportunity in Houston right now. We saw last week in the game against the Cardinals, Ben Tate went down with an injury. He's going to be out for the rest of the season. Arian Foster's the new #1 running back for the Houston Texans. He had a good ending to last season, and we're projecting him to have about 1,100 combined yards and 7 or 8 touchdowns this year.
And I have to admit, he is one of the folks, one of the players that my husband asked me to ask you on the side. He's like, ask Russ and Jeff, what about Arian Foster and also Beanie Wells? He said, what about the stock value in Beanie Wells?
Beanie Wells, just about 1,000 yards and about 7 touchdowns. As long as he quits trash talking the 49ers, he should be okay.
All right. If you are new to this segment, maybe just moved into the Valley or just learning more about fantasyfootballstarters.com, it's actually a great tool online. They have an awesome website. Yeah. I mean, these guys breathe and sleep football, not just during the season, but all year long. And you guys have great tools on there. Tell folks what the site is all about.
Yeah, we actually have a draft, a trade, a team, and a lineup analyzer. So we have these analyzer tools that are all about helping you win. And one of the things that we do every year, Tess, as you well know, is we do a giveaway. And this week's giveaway is for one of our championship plans. And the first viewer that emails Jeff at fantasyfootballstarters.com with what Cardinal player scored the team's first 2010 NFL preseason touchdown last weekend. Come on, Tess, you don't know who that is?
I was going to say, I do know this, but I can't say.
But whoever emails me first will win our championship plan.
Awesome.
But our website is set up. Russ has a blog. He's got great tips and strategy accuracy on that. We've got personalized alerts. So what people can do is go to our website. They can register. It's free to register. They can use our tools, and our tools are all design tests to help them win in fantasy football.
And I know you guys made a few changes, so you're saying it's even easier to access, even easier to understand.
Yes,
now.
it is. We've got 3 nice plans this year, and we're really excited about having another great season with you guys.
That's awesome. All right. Well, we are looking forward to seeing you guys every Sunday. Is it this week, Jeff, that we're starting every Sunday with you guys, or are we waiting until the
this is it.
This is it.
This is the kickoff test.
All right. Every Sunday around this time of the morning, our experts will be in giving you the tip on what you need to know about your draft. So
You got
thanks,
it.
guys. Good to see you. Have you back. We'll see you next Sunday. Still ahead.